There's a photograph that haunts the internet. You've seen it. It's grainy, taken in the early 90s at the Mar-a-Lago club in Palm Beach. In the center, you see two men laughing. They look like old friends. They look like they own the world. On the left is Donald Trump. On the right is Jeffrey Epstein. For years, this image has been the smoking gun for conspiracy theorists, political rivals, and internet sleuths. It represents a connection to the darkest scandal in modern American history. The implication is simple: guilty by association. But if you dig deeper, if you actually pull the court records, the flight manifests, and the police reports from Palm Beach, you find something that doesn't fit the narrative. You find a story that contradicts the photo. Because Donald Trump is also the only powerful man in Epstein's orbit who did something that Bill Clinton, Prince Andrew, and the scientists at MIT never did. He banned him. He kicked Jeffrey Epstein out of Mar-a-Lago. He reportedly threatened him, and according to some legal depositions, he was the only billionaire who was willing to help the victims' lawyers when no one else would pick up the phone. So we're left with a paradox. We have the party Trump who flew on the Lolita Express, and we have the vigilante Trump who cast Epstein out of paradise. Which version is real? Did Trump ban Epstein because he was a hero protecting a young girl? Or did he ban him to save his own skin because he knew exactly what was coming? To answer that, we have to go back to where it started. We have to go back to Palm Beach in the 1990s. Chapter 1. The Socialite Era. To understand the relationship between Donald Trump and Epstein, you have to understand the ecosystem they lived in. This was the roaring 90s. New York was the financial capital, but Palm Beach, Florida was the playground. At the time, Donald Trump was reshaping Palm Beach. He'd bought the Mar-a-Lago estate and done something radical. He opened it up. While the old money clubs were exclusive and restricted, Trump's club was for the new money. It was loud, it was gold-plated, and it was the place to be seen. Enter Jeffrey Epstein. In the 90s, Epstein wasn't known as a monster. He was known as a mystery. He was the wealthy financier from New York who managed billions for billionaires. He was charming, he was connected, and he was a fixture on the social circuit. Naturally, these two men gravitated toward each other. They were both outsiders to the old WASP establishment. They were both New Yorkers taking over Florida. In 2002, Trump gave the now famous quote to New York Magazine. He said, "I've known Jeff for 15 years. Terrific guy. He's a lot of fun to be with. It is even said that he likes beautiful women as much as I do, and many of them are on the younger side." That quote is often used as evidence of guilt. On the younger side. It sounds incriminating, and looking back with what we know now, it sends a shiver down your spine. But at the time, in that circle, it was read differently. It was framed as two playboys enjoying the bachelor lifestyle. And the data backs up the friendship. We have the logs. We have to talk about the logs. Between 1993 and 1997, Donald Trump's name appears on the manifest of Epstein's Boeing 727, the plane later dubbed the Lolita Express, at least 7 times. The entries are there in black and white, Donald Trump, sometimes with his children, sometimes with security. If you stop the story here, the verdict is damning. He was a passenger, he was a friend, he was in the circle. But relationships in the world of billionaires are rarely about friendship, they're about utility. And around 2004, the utility ran out. Chapter 2. The Real Estate War. Before the darkness of the crimes came to light, the friendship cracked over something much more trivial: real estate. This is a detail often left out of the main narrative. In 2004, there was a mansion in Palm Beach called Maison de l'Amitié. It was a massive oceanfront property. Donald Trump wanted it. He intended to flip it for a profit. But Jeffrey Epstein wanted it too. According to reports from the time, Epstein tried to outmaneuver Trump to buy the property. He played games behind the scenes. Trump, who prides himself on being the ultimate deal-maker, was furious. He viewed it as a betrayal, a breach of the code. Trump eventually won the bidding war, buying the house for roughly $41 million and later selling it to a Russian oligarch for nearly $100 million. But the damage was done. The friendship was over. This is critical context because it establishes that there was already bad blood between the two men before the scandal broke. They were no longer terrific guys. They were rivals. And then came the incident at the pool. Chapter 3. The Incident at the Pool. It is 2007. The relationship is cold, but Epstein is still a member of the Mar-a-Lago club. He still pays his dues. He still shows up to use the facilities. According to police reports and later accounts of club staff, Epstein was at the Mar-a-Lago pool. The daughter of another club member, a teenage girl, was also there. Witnesses stated that Epstein cornered her. He was aggressive. He was harassing her. It wasn't just flirting. It was predatory. The girl was shaken. Her father was furious. Word got back to Trump. Now this is the moment where the hero narrative takes shape. In many similar situations involving powerful men, the instinct is to hush it up, to say boys will be boys, or he's a valuable member, let's just keep them apart. Trump didn't do that. According to Brad Edwards, the lawyer who would later represent Epstein's victims, Trump's reaction was explosive. He didn't consult a PR team. He reportedly found Epstein and kicked him off the property. But he went further. He officially banned him. A lifetime ban. Jeffrey Epstein, the billionaire financier, was no longer welcome at the most important club in Palm Beach. In his book, Brad Edwards wrote something that shocked a lot of people. He said, "The only thing I can say about President Trump is that he is the only person who in 2009, when I served a lot of subpoenas on a lot of people, he is the only person who picked up the phone and said, let's just talk. I'll give you as much time as you want. I'll tell you what you need to know." Think about that. The lawyer for the victims says Trump was helpful. This ban wasn't a secret. It was a humiliation for Epstein. In the small, gossipy world of Palm Beach, being kicked out of Mar-a-Lago was a signal. It marked Epstein as damaged goods. Chapter 4. The Crucial Distinction. So, we have the logs and we have the ban. How do we reconcile them? To do that, we have to look at the destinations. When investigative journalists analyze the flight logs of other powerful figures, like Bill Clinton or Prince Andrew, there's a pattern. The flights often go to international destinations. They go to Europe, they go to Asia, and most damningly, they go to the Caribbean, to St. Thomas, to Little St. James, the island. The island is the epicenter. That is where the trafficking ring was headquartered. That is where the worst crimes took place. When you filter the logs for Donald Trump, the pattern is boringly domestic. New York to Palm Beach to New York, Newark to Florida. In thousands of pages of documents, unsealed court records, and pilot logs, there is currently zero evidence that Donald Trump ever set foot on Little St. James. This is the Uber theory. The theory suggests that for Trump, Epstein wasn't a partner in crime, he was a guy with a nice plane. If you were Donald Trump in the 90s and you need to get to Florida for the weekend, and an acquaintance says, "I'm flying down, hop in," you hop in. It explains why he was on the plane. It explains the photos. But the absence of island trips suggests he wasn't part of the core operation. He wasn't in the life. He was just in the seat. Chapter 5. The Recruitment Problem. However, we cannot let Trump off the hook completely. There is one shadow that still lingers over Mar-a-Lago: Virginia Giuffre. Virginia Giuffre is one of the most prominent victims of the Epstein ring. In her testimony, she describes how she was recruited. She wasn't recruited on the street. She was recruited while working as a locker room attendant at Mar-a-Lago. She was an employee of Donald Trump. Now, there is no evidence that Trump knew she was being recruited. Ghislaine Maxwell, Epstein's partner, was the one who approached her. Maxwell was a master manipulator. She knew how to blend in. She used the club as a hunting ground. This is the failure of the hero narrative. While Trump eventually banned Epstein, his club was, for a time, used as a recruitment center. It happened under his roof. Did he know, or was he just negligent? Trump has claimed he had no idea. He claims he managed a massive staff and couldn't police every conversation in the spa. And legally, that is held up. He's never been charged. He's never been named as a co-conspirator. But it complicates the picture. It shows that while Trump may have drawn a line in 2007, the danger was lurking in his own backyard for years before that. Chapter 6. The Fallout and the Presidency. Fast forward to 2019. Epstein is arrested. The world explodes. Donald Trump is now the President of the United States. The media immediately digs up the 2002 terrific guy quote. They dig up the flight logs. Trump's response was classic Trump. He didn't hide from the question. He went on the offensive. I haven't spoken to him in 15 years, Trump told reporters. I was not a fan of his, that I can tell you. He leaned heavily into the ban. He used the Mar-a-Lago eviction as his shield. I threw him out became the talking point, and because the ban was a documented fact,